Here's the question I got asked this morning. How can I use LinkedIn for outreach for my target audience if I'm in a sales role? And this is an important question because too often people get on LinkedIn or they start using LinkedIn and they think it's a sales tool. And it really isn't a sales tool. It is a networking tool that if you do it right, you can find the right people, find ways to get connected to the right people, find ways to get into conversations with the right people, and then move them to business conversations that may lead to sales conversations. This is critical. Too often, again, people get on LinkedIn and they jump or pounce all over their target audience. They hope and pray that they're ready to make a decision now, and often they're not, and they waste a lot of time and a lot of energy. So I'm going to share some ideas of how to do outreach on LinkedIn that for those of you who understand and want to invest the time in making the right connections, developing and nurturing the right relationships so you can find the opportunities to get into the right conversations, this will work for you. Those of you who are in a rush and you want to plow through LinkedIn and you just want to pounce on your target audience, just turn off this video now, go do something else because I'm going to waste your time because you're never going to adopt these ideas. So let's talk about how to do outreach on LinkedIn. Well, first of all, there's two people you need to know of before you start this process. You need to know clearly who is your target audience, and maybe that's a diverse group of people, but you need to know who those people are. Who is my target audience, my ideal client? Who am I looking for on LinkedIn to get introduced, connected to, and move to a conversation? Second person you need to be very clear about it. Who are the influencers? Who are the people who are on LinkedIn who may be able to introduce me to my target audience? You need to be really clear about that. The more clear you are about your target audience and their influencers, the easier this becomes. Now, having that down pat, now you can start where you are. Often, I'll see people get on LinkedIn and they'll get started thinking that they got to immediately start looking to get connected to their target audience, the influencers, and they forget about a whole other group of people. You need to start where you are. You need to start connecting. And if you haven't done this yet, you need to come back and do this. Start connecting with the people you already know. Your friends, your family, your peers, your vendors, your partners, your current customers, your prior customers. Connect with the people whom you know already. Because you can't assume that they don't know your target audience. You can't assume that they can't introduce you to the right people. Start where you are now. And connect with the people that you already know. And by the way, never forget these. Go back and go, oh my God, I forgot to connect with this person, and connect with the people you already know. Now here's the second step. Connect with the people that you meet along the way. Connect with people who email you and people who are copied on the email messages that are sent to you. Connect with people you meet at networking events. Connect with people that you had they called you or someone called you and introduced you. Connect with everyone that you meet along the way. And again, do not make poor assumptions about who they do or do not know that you need to meet. Every chance you get, connect with people that you meet along the way. Now, another really important tactic as you start targeting to get introduced and connect to your target audience and influencers, use LinkedIn search tools and focus on second level. When you're looking for new people, you don't want to look for everybody. You want to look for people that you don't yet know, and you want to look for people that you have an opportunity to get introduced to. So if you're looking at third level, you may not be able to get introduced to them. But almost every time you're looking for your target audience and their influencers, if you focus on second level, it makes it easy for you to do the next step before you send an invite to connect. And that next step is this. Look for ways to get introduced to the people that you want to connect with. Now, if you're very purposely connecting and engaging with the people you connect with rather than simply building a huge pile of LinkedIn connections of people you've never engaged with, but if you're very intentional about connecting and engaging, the people you're already connected with may be willing to help you with an introduction to other people. By the way, mutually beneficial, you got to be willing to help others as well. But while you're finding the people that you want to connect with, second level, Look for people who can introduce you to those people. And ask for an introduction. Ask them to do it by email and copy you on it. If they want to do it by LinkedIn, also ask them to copy you on the LinkedIn message. Because that gives you an opportunity to A, see what they say, and B, see if the other person responds back. Now, once someone has done that introduction for you, then you can go ahead and send a LinkedIn invite. You can show gratitude to the person who introduced you in your LinkedIn invite messaging. And then you can wait. Don't pounce. Wait to see if that other person responds in some meaningful way. You can always respond to them in their initial message or subsequent message and use words to the effect of look for an opportunity to say hello or look for an opportunity to talk one day. But don't pitch. Do not pitch. You're not ready for that. Now, if you can't get an introduction, still hold off. Don't send that invite yet. Rather than send an invite, before you do that, look and see if there's any content that they've shared. Look and see if there's some recent piece of content they shared that you can engage on, or a conversation that they were a part of that you can engage on. When you show up engaging in a meaningful way, making the conversation all about the other person or that other piece of content, not about you, that helps to build some level of trust and respect, even if it's minuscule, before you send that invite. So engage on their content and then immediately go and send them a LinkedIn invite. Go, hey, I appreciate or enjoyed or whatever the right words are, that conversation that you were part of. Thought I'd reach out, say hello, and invite you to connect. So always look for a warm intro or look for content that you can engage on before you send that invite to connect. It makes it more likely that A, they'll accept the invite, and B, be willing to get into a conversation with you. Now again, as you start connecting with everyone on LinkedIn, you must immediately engage. And the engagement, the level of engagement, the amount of energy and time you will put into that engagement will be directly proportional to their relevance to you. So if it's just a friend you connected with, send a LinkedIn message, say, hey dude, good to connect with you on here. But if that person is your target audience or an influencer, you may want to go to another level. If they have a phone number on their account, on their profile, call them. Make the conversation all about them. If they have their business email address on there, send them an email. Make the conversation all about them, not about you. You are still not ready to pitch. You are still not ready to invite them to a sales conversation. You could invite them to a conversation, but that conversation needs to be all about them until you get permission to make it about you. By the way, if you're not using a CRM tool, here's a couple of tactics you can use with LinkedIn messaging that can help you pay attention to what you've done. When you send that first invite, if someone introduced you to them, refer to that person who introduced you. That way you'll never forget who introduced you to this new LinkedIn connection. If you met that person at a networking event, refer to that networking event in that initial message. Again, so you can stay aware of, how did I get introduced to this person? Where did I meet them? If you had a conversation with that person on a telephone, then refer to that phone call in your LinkedIn message. Look, this is important. It reminds them that you've had a conversation where you met them, who introduced you to them, but it also reminds you, because the more active you get at prospecting and outreach on LinkedIn, unless you're using a CRM tool and actively using it, you're going to forget where you met that person. And it will help you to be able to remember that information. I often put little tidbits of information I need to have in my messaging to that person, not only to alert them, remind them, or whatever, but to remind me of what I've done so far with that person. But remember, it's all about networking for mutual benefit. It's not about sales until you know you have permission to move them into those steps. If you're in a rush, this won't work for you. If you're in a rush, LinkedIn may not work for you long term. LinkedIn is all about networking, building trust and respect, getting introduced, engaging in meaningful ways with the other person until they're ready to give you permission to talk about you, your company, or your products. I'm Teddy, your LinkedIn and Sales Navigator strategist, trainer, and coach. I hope these ideas are helpful for you in your outreach through LinkedIn.